I'm Katy Carlisle, and my business is called Squarespace Queen, and I do Squarespace web design and training. So I work mainly with clients in the charity and nonprofit industry, as well as other freelancers and very, very small businesses. And then for my training side, I do one-to-one training via Zoom. I do group workshops, and I'm just working on some online courses as well. So one of the reasons that I think people like working with me is because I can always figure out a way to achieve what they're looking to do on the website. So they might say, okay, well, we want to do this thing. And I'll say, okay, well, Squarespace doesn't do that, but what I think you're looking to achieve is this objective, and we can do it this way using Squarespace with this workaround, or actually Squarespace has this other tool that we're not using, but we can add that on and use it, and that will let you do what you need to do. And I was actually quite scared when I first started out that I wasn't a kind of real web developer, and so I was terrified someone would ask me about code and I wouldn't know the answer. And actually, after a while, I realised that's an asset. The fact that I've not gone down the traditional route of web development, because it means that I talk in a human way and my conversations aren't full of jargon, and I approach the project in a way that I think it just feels more normal for a client. So I think there is actually a lot of pressure on freelancers when they first start. A lot of the advice is find your niche, find your niche. But actually, you almost don't know what your niche is until you've tried out a few things. So although I was focusing on Squarespace because I really loved it when I first started, I was also doing websites on WordPress and on Shopify for people as well, because those were platforms that I knew as well. And though, and some people would come to me and they say, "Oh, I've got a WordPress site. Can you give me some help with it?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I would be working on those. But what I really noticed was that I always put those projects off, and I always wanted to work on the Squarespace projects because it was so much easier for me to do what the clients wanted on Squarespace. And so in the end, it just became so obvious that I really should just focus on Squarespace because I was able to add more value there. I enjoyed it more, so I was giving a better experience to people, and I was getting more recommendations from the Squarespace clients than the other clients as well. So yeah, I get bored easily. So freelancing is by far the longest job that I've ever stuck at. Before, it was kind of 3 years was the most before I got bored and wanted to leave and wanted to change. And I think one of the things that actually keeps me interested in freelancing is the fact that I can switch up my business and introduce new things, but also I've got various side projects. So I have been running for years a community for freelancers called Freelance Folk, and one of the freelancers I met through that has become a really good friend, and she's my business coach. And so together we have a podcast called 99 Problems, but a Boss Ain't One. And so we tackle a different freelance challenge every episode. And then during the pandemic, I also set up another little side project, the online magazine that's called Own Beat. And yeah, it's basically a collection of articles about living and thinking a bit differently. So a few things have helped me. I don't generally do client work on a Friday or any kind of work relating to the kind of Squarespace Queen side of the business. And I've not done that for a long, long time. And I've actually started not doing calls on Thursdays either. So then that just gives me the flexibility to do what I want on the Thursday and Friday, whether that's go and do some water sports or go off in the van or do some deep work on a client project or work on side projects as well. So I think that really helps to do that. And actually using a scheduling tool, so I use Calendly, has made such a difference because I was just getting really overwhelmed and I felt like I wasn't in control of my calendar, it was in control of me. So that's really helped with balancing work and life and side projects and just helping my well-being, because I do have anxiety, and so looking after my mental health is really important and not kind of getting too burnt out. And so I kind of know the signs to look out for if I start to get too overwhelmed, and then I can just restrict my availability a little bit. Yeah, my favorite thing about being self-employed, I think, is the flexibility and just being able to actually be my own boss. I just love that flexibility that I can decide which portion of my business is going to be website design and which is going to be training. And I can change that if I want to. If I get bored of one thing, I can do a bit more of the other and just choose how to manage my time. And I think that really helps me because I love doing water sports. That's kind of my, outside of freelancing, just water sports is like my passion. And so having the flexibility to be able to take advantage of good weather conditions and be like, right, I'm going to go for a swim now in the middle of the day because I can. And that's part of the beauty of being freelance. And so it just lets me actually live my life whilst working rather than waiting until I've retired to actually start living.